You have found your way down to the Matcave. Welcome everybody to Matcave Gaming for this impromptu live stream. I asked myself a question I ask fairly often. What's new in retro gaming? Well, instead of just sitting here searching around articles and stuff on my own, I figured, you know what? I missed last night's live stream. Let's go live and we're going to do some retro gaming news hunting together down here in the Mac Cave. We are live on StreamYard tonight, which is definitely a little different for me. I'm normally using Streamlabs and I have a whole bunch of other things on there. And every time I come back to the yard, I always forget how to do everything. So it's pretty funny coming back to it and getting used to kind of the old way that I used to do all this. What's up, Tripping Orc? Good to see you. And Steve is here as well. How are you guys? Good to see you guys. Sorry I missed Thursday night stream. I just wasn't I didn't have the energy. I wasn't feeling so great. And then I was like, you know what? If I can't like kind of amp myself up and everything, I was like, I'll reschedule. We'll figure out another night to play that Resident Evil game. You know, we've done plenty of Resident Evil around here at the Mac Cave. You guys have definitely seen plenty of it here. You know, it's my favorite franchise of all time. So there'll be plenty more of it as we go. Guys, let me know in chat how the mic volume is doing here. And I also wanted to try out, I want to get a little bit of tunes going here for us here while we go. Let me know if we actually hear this playing here and if it's too loud or anything. I want to kind of play around with the yard a little bit tonight, see what they've added. It's been a long time since I've streamed here on StreamYard. I mean, it's always got such fun features, especially the pop-up chats and things like that. But I'm really curious if anything else has changed here, so maybe we'll play around with it a little bit. Audio is good so far. Awesome, good to hear. I'm gonna take a listen to it here on my phone real quick. Okay, cool. And that music is coming through, it seems like. All right, awesome, cool deal, guys. Well, tonight what I'm gonna do is I got a site I've been looking at for a little while, and I come back to it, you know, every few weeks or so as new articles come out. It's called the Time Extension, and it's basically retro gaming news. It's things that are happening in the world of retro games, whether it's fan-made mods or maybe a re-release of something, or potentially even major companies like Nintendo, Sega, PlayStation, if they're re-releasing some of their classic titles as well. Tripping Orc says, I still think you should increase the Resident Evil content. Oh my goodness, don't tempt me. And Steve agrees. Wow, guys, you guys making it very tempting, man. It was very possible that this channel for a little while could have become a dedicated Resident Evil channel. I've even considered making a second channel dedicated to Resident Evil. It's been a thought floating through my head a little bit. I still consider it every once in a while, but I gotta tell you, maintaining just one channel, oh my goodness, guys. And I'm a small little guy, small little fish in the sea, and you know, we stream once a week primarily, and then it's still a lot. It's a lot, guys. It's pretty crazy, but it's fun stuff. You want more? I know I shouldn't, but that's awesome. Love it. Oh, excuse me. Oh, I just noticed that when you guys use the emojis, they don't come up in the StreamYard chat. That's the umbrella logo. I see it in the YouTube chat on my phone, but it doesn't come up in the StreamYard chat. I thought they updated that. I could have sworn that was one of the updates that emojis would start to show in this. That's unfun. Yeah, StreamYard, if you ever see this, this is something you got to do. The chats, the emojis in the chat, get them in the pop-up version on StreamYard. That goes a long way. I can show them when I use Streamlabs normally, and we can have them pop up that way. So, but yeah, absolutely. I hope they come up with more and more updates. StreamYard is something I'll always continue to support, even though we don't use it much around here, primarily because we're playing a lot of games and I'm pulling from consoles or PC gaming, and StreamYard really being web-based, it struggles with things like that. So that's why I generally don't use it all the time. But for something like this, where we're just going to hang out, we're going to take a look at some articles and things like that, we really don't need the labs and all the fancy bells and whistles that has. So I like coming back to StreamYard from that. One of the things I wanted to bring up first before I dive into the articles and start, I haven't even looked yet of what's out there, so we're going to find this all together for the first time. We're going to, whatever I find, you're seeing it when I'm seeing it. So I kind of have no real target goal here other than taking a look and see what's going on and maybe get some ideas of things we could look into down the line on the channel, maybe some new games we can play in the world of retro. We'll see what kind of articles we got coming out there. But something I definitely wanted to mention here briefly, many of you here in the Matcave gaming community already know, but some of you that may not be familiar, yesterday, I found out for the first time yesterday, but it did happen this past Sunday. The gaming community here was hit pretty hard. We lost someone very special to our community and just an amazing friend. Many of you know him by the name TheLegendaryTron. He had a very severe case of cerebral palsy that he's lived with, and he was going through plenty of struggles, but he ran his channel here on YouTube and on Twitch. He was an amazing gamer and an amazing guy. The guy was the nicest guy in the world, and unfortunately, he did pass away. I believe it was this past Sunday, but I did find out last night for the first time. I actually tuned into Echo Base Network, and I had no idea what was going on. And the moment I tuned in, the first thing I heard Coach say was that Tron had passed away, and it just hit me like a ton of bricks, and I couldn't believe it. But the positive thing that happened was that community came together. And so many people were together on that stream and sharing memories and sharing their stories, that they've shared with Tron. And just, I've had my share, and I can tell you that guy, his smile is the thing I will never forget. It didn't matter what was going on in my life, in the world, whatever was going on, you see him smile and everything was all right. Everything was better. And just such a great guy, and he will be forever missed. And he was just such an amazing friend to this community, to so many other communities here on the platform. So I wanted to just touch on that real quick and just say that he will be missed. Tripping Orc says this is the first you're hearing of it. Yeah, I found out last night on Echo Base on their stream, and it floored me. I was a mess last night, and a lot of people were, and a lot of people knew him more personally than I do. So we were friends, right? But I didn't know him as well as many other people in that community did. But still, it was definitely sad news to get, and a big hit to the community here, especially in the world of the gaming community. Tron, even with disabilities, he was an incredible gamer. He's whooped my butt in games plenty of times, and I'm very grateful to have met him, and that he was part of my life. Even though I never got to meet him in person. I wish I did. I never got a chance to go to the conventions that a lot of people did go to, where he did go. I wish I did. but unfortunately I wasn't able to make it. But yeah, again, guys, the legendary Tron, he will be forever missed. An amazing guy, and the nicest guy. You know, he was the type of person that the world needs, but the world doesn't deserve. And it was a big loss. So we are going to we're going to do what I feel Tron would want us to do, is keep smiling, keep having a good time here on this platform, keep having a good time in the gaming community here, and being there for each other. So that's what we're going to do here tonight. And like I said in the beginning here, we're going to take a look at some articles here that I can find and see what's going on in the world of retro gaming and see if there's anything new going on. And 99 Midnight Gamer, welcome to the stream. Yeah, we're going to investigate and see if there's anything new in retro gaming. And I have a site that I like to look at. I'm going to bring it up on my screen here in just a moment, and we're going to go through it together. Let me just load it up, actually. That would be probably a good idea to have it actually loaded so that we go into it. It's a website called timeextension.com. I found this a little while back, and I check in on it every couple of weeks, seeing what kind of articles they got going on. So let me see if I can remember how to do all this through the yard here. Let me present my screen. Oh, excuse me, man. I thought I was doing better, but apparently I still got a little bit of a cough. All right, let's share a window and let's bring up the time extension. Here we go, timeextension.com. And the thing I love about this site is that it's basically news that covers retro gaming, all kinds of things. So let me zoom this in a little bit more, so that we can all see comfortably. That might be a little too much. Okay, that should be pretty good here. Let me know how that looks, guys. I'm going to read through some stuff here. I already see some interesting stuff here going on. We'll go back to the top of the page here real quick and not spoil anything for ourselves. Oh, 99, you're just visiting channels? Good to hear. Well, you are always welcome here down at the Matcave. Welcome. I hope you enjoy your time here. I hope you find something that you like. Plenty of videos on the channel, a great community here. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that like button, it helps a tremendous amount. And if you enjoy your time here, if you consider subscribing, we would love to have you here. So thank you so much to be here. Yeah, everything between the different tech, different games coming out from modders, from fan-made games, all the way to the major studios of things that they may be releasing. They cover a lot of things on this website, and I really do enjoy it. So let's take a look here and see what we got. I see stuff going on about Sega and Nintendo already here. So this first main article right here, a review of the PowKiddy V10, an excellent Game Boy Advance emulation and more for $45. There's tons of machines like this, right? I haven't heard of this one, so I want to take a look at this and see what they're talking about. But you could find things like this all over, like Amazon and eBay and all different types of sites where you find a lot of emulation machines in the designs of handhelds, very much like the Game Boys and things like that. And they don't just have Game Boy games on there. There's like tons of things on there. So emulation machines are fun. As always, it's always best to get your games as legally as possible. But we know how difficult it is in the world of retro gaming for these major companies to actually make their games accessible from back in the day. Getting our hands on these games outside of the used market is tough. And, you know, a lot of gamers turn to emulation for that. Unfortunately, it's unfortunate that happens, but also some cool things come up for it. So guys, let's take a look at this and see what the PowKiddy V10 is all about here. So this is a review done by the site here. This is written by Damian McFerrin. This actually happened at 8:30 this morning, so that's pretty cool. This is pretty recent. Excellent GBA emulation and more for $45. Let's see what we got. I mean, it's small. Look at, I mean, a decent sized screen, but look how tiny that is. I mean, just look at, you can see they're holding it in their hand. Look at their thumb at the D-pad there compared to the rest of the unit. That's interesting. That's a really small machine. I don't even know if I could be able to, if I would be able to even hold that thing. What's up, Mike? Good to see you. Welcome to the stream. It says, I just got a Retron 3 and got Sonic and Mario World and Bart's Nightmare. That is awesome. I have the Retron 5 and I have the Retron 77 for the Atari 2600 games. The Hyperkin Retron systems, many people here at Matcave Gaming know I'm a big fan of the Hyperkin stuff, and the Retron 5 is one of my favorite consoles of all time. That thing plays NES, Famicom, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, and all of the Game Boy stuff. And then I bought an adapter for it that allows me to play Game Gear and Sega Master System cartridges. It's so cool, and then uses the real controllers. Oh, it's definitely very, very cool. Yeah, it does look like a Game Boy. Many of these emulation devices do tend to have that type of a look. It's a very common shell that's used there. Let me know. I know we were talking about the audio earlier. I'm noticing the music picking up a little volume in my headphones. Let me know if it's too loud, if I need to reduce it, or if you're hearing it at all. So here we go. That's the unit itself. Let's see what they have to say about it over at the time extension. Let's see here. The trusty Rockchip RK3326 has powered a wide range of emulation handhelds over the past few years and generally offers decent performance if you're sticking to systems like Game Boy Advance, SNES, PC Engine, and Neo Geo. It's slowly but surely being replaced by more capable chipsets, but PowKiddy has revived it for one more ride around the track in the V10, a curious little handheld which costs just $45. So the question is, what other systems does it allow it to play? Sounds good. Perfect level. Awesome. Given the proliferation of these devices in recent times, is this cheap and cheerful portable really worth your time, or should you ignore it in favor of something else? Join us as we find out. Interesting. Well, let's see what they have to say about it. Play an alleyway on it right there. So they're talking about, first, they're going to talk about the design and the display. We were talking about the physical look of it just there. While RK3326 powered handhelds are commonplace, you won't find many that look like the PowKiddy V10. Sure, it has all of the hallmarks of a Game Boy inspired device, but its square form factor and widescreen display make it stand out from the crowd. The smallish dimensions make it ideal for playing on the move. Oh, I have a guest in the background. So Mrs. Matcave is down here. She hates being called that, by the way. And she almost fell down the stairs. So that's awesome. We're just reading about emulation machines and you almost had a tumble. All right. Well, be careful. Let's see here. But its square form factor and widescreen display make it stand out from the crowd. The smallish dimensions make it ideal for playing on the move, but it's awkward to fit inside your pocket. On the upside, the controls are fantastic. The D-pad feels nice and responsive, while the face buttons are equally pleasurable to use. The 4 shoulder buttons are a little too clicky for our liking, but otherwise fine. There's 4 shoulder buttons on this tiny little machine. That is insane. Okay, I don't know how they fit all that. We get some screenshots coming down here too. The top of the device has twin USB-C ports, one for charging and one for data, a reset button and a power button, while the bottom edge has a micro SD card slot and a 3.5mm headphone jack. So perfect for on the go and easily chargeable. So you can see here the 4 shoulder buttons. So all right, this particular design here, where they're right in a row, it's great that they were able to get all 4, to get an L1, L2, R1, R2 on there. But I've never been comfortable playing games, handheld systems like this, where they're just straight across in the line like this. It feels awkward to me. I've had a couple of handhelds like this, kind of aftermarket things like that. And when it's in a line like that, I've never been comfortable with using the shoulder buttons like that. But, it's something that you can get used to when you play things like this. Let's see. There's no physical volume control that is handled by holding down the plus button and the right-hand side of the V10's face and pressing either left or right on the D-pad. Similarly, brightness is altered by using the same button but pressing up and down. Okay. It has a mode button. Hold the mode button, use the D-pad to change them, and up and down is brightness, left and right is the volume. So just a quick little thing to get used to. The battery is good for between 6 and 8 hours of play, depending on volume, brightness, and emulation demands, and is user serviceable. The square shape of the V10 means that much of the battery compartment is actually empty. The unit we were sent by PowKiddy sports a transparent purple color, but it's possible to get the V10 in a fetching SNES style color-wise too. That's cool. All in all, this feels very solidly built for a $45 product, which I have to say is very cheap for stuff like this. Now on performance, that's where things like this really, that's what it comes down to, whether or not these things work, because there's tons of things like this on the market, tons of emulation machines, but a lot of them struggle once you get into systems beyond 16-bit, and that's where they get really, really tricky. As we already mentioned, the RK33-2600 is a pretty old chip these days, so don't go expecting the V10 to be capable of handling perfect PS2 and Saturn emulation. It tops around the PS1, with Dreamcast and PSP being playable, but not perfectly so. So that's what I'm talking about. It really struggles when you get into like the 64-bit era and things like that. Black Dragon, what's up, dude? Good to see you, my friend. Says the only handheld that I owned at one time was the Sony PSP. The PSP was such a great handheld. I actually gave it to a friend of mine when I got the PS Vita, and now my son plays the Vita. We actually just recently, because the Vita no longer has any support from Sony, and we were trying to get this thing a little more functional, get a little more storage space on it, which was tricky because they had those proprietary memory cards, which are very expensive. And we did get a new one. It had to be shipped from Japan, so it took a while. And then we kind of came to the decision where we were like, look, there's ways to mod this thing and get more space and make it more functional. And it was a risk, but we did it, and it worked out. And the thing's actually working great. I really like the Vita. Let's see. The V10 screen is the perfect ratio for Game Boy Advance titles, and we'd even go as far as to say that this is one of the most cost-effective ways to experience the library of that particular console. GBA games look utterly fantastic on the V10 screen, which is brighter than the display seen on the coveted GBA AGS 101 by some margin. Any system which runs 4:3 aspect ratio content is going to suffer from the black borders on the left and right of the image, but the relatively large size of the V10 screen means that isn't much of an issue. I've never minded, even on smaller screens when things are kept in 4:3. Most of the games at that point were designed that way, and I prefer not to stretch the games, so I don't mind the bars on the side. Here we get a shot of the bottom port. So we got this the memory storage down here, and then the headphones jack on there on the very bottom. I mean, look at this in their hand. That's a small handheld console. That's tiny. I don't even know. I mean, that looks like it's like about the same width of a cell phone. So it's like this width in your hand. I don't know. I mean, I don't mind, cell phone's a little different than holding a handheld system where you're pressing the buttons and everything, but yeah, that could be tricky to play as an adult. Battle Wannabe, what's up? So he says, so have you heard that Crash Bandicoot Trilogy is on Xbox Game Pass? I've never played it, but I will now. I've only heard good things about that series. I had no idea that Crash went to Xbox Game Pass. Yeah. The Crash games are great. Crash Bandicoot, for a long time, was the primary mascot for PlayStation, especially around the PS1 era. The remastered trilogy is fantastic. If that's the one you're talking about, it's so good. It's really good. You're going to have a blast. Very, very cool. That was the color of my Game Boy. I actually got a transparent Game Boy Color with a little bit of the purple tone. I got one for my son. And yeah, I would want a bigger version if they had it. I wonder, they may mention something like that as we go. Real Wave, what's going on? Yeah, those trilogy, the Crash games are pretty tricky. Huge arcade style and everything, you know, just kind of running either forward away from the camera or running towards the camera while avoiding obstacles. So it's pretty fun. Oh, you got to win in Fortnite today? Nice. I was actually playing a little bit of the new season today with my kids. It was pretty fun so far. The Marvel stuff is awesome. Oh, excuse me. So sorry, guys. So sorry. All right, let's see here. Let's talk about the specs of the PowKiddy V10. So it's running a Linux operating system and an Arc operating system. I'm not familiar with Arc. If anybody knows, if familiar with Arc, let me know in the chat. We do have the screen, the 3.5-inch screen, which is awesome. It runs at a maximum resolution of 480 by 320. We talked about the CPU chip during the article. The GPU is the Mali G31. The RAM is DDR3L at 1 gig. 1 gig of RAM inside that little tiny guy. That's awesome. The micro SD is in there, can max out at 256 gigs of storage, which is nice. The lithium battery we talked about in the article, and the battery life up to 8 hours, depending on your brightness level and which types of games you are emulating on it. And then, of course, the USB-C interface for charging and data, and also the headphones jack. So overall, here's the size. Pretty small. Pretty small here, guys. The Arc is Intel. Interesting. Okay. Oh, see, that's a good comparison right here. Tripping Arc. So they always like the size of the Game Gear. Yeah, the Game Gear was a bulky handheld. The screen I wish was a little bit bigger. There's a lot of modded ones out there you can get with nice new LED screens that people put in there. They're really beautiful work. But yeah, that system was pretty bulky, pretty heavy too. When you put all the batteries in it and stuff, it was a bulky handheld. Let's see their conclusion. Let's see what they concluded about this little system here. The PowKiddy V10 isn't going to blow your socks off when it comes to performance, but for $45, it offers decent build quality, a good screen, and excellent 8 and 16-bit emulation, which is really what would be the primary thing that I would be looking at in it. To the somewhat odd shape might be off-putting, but it's comfortable to use for prolonged periods. We wouldn't suggest that the V10 is a replacement for your cutting-edge emulation portable, but as a backup device, or one to simply get the best out of GBA emulation, it's well worth a look. So that's interesting. So, look at this. They even gave it a 7 out of 10 for a little emulation device. That's pretty cool. That's not a bad score at all, considering what we just talked about and all the specs that go along with that system. Very cool. This is the first I've ever heard of the PowKiddy. This is the V10. I'm assuming there were multiple versions after this, but being an upgraded Game Boy player is pretty cool, especially handheld devices. I love handheld consoles. I used to love when we'd be going on like a car trip or something and just, have the Game Boy with me, or the Game Boy Advance, even the Game Gear. My brother had the Game Gear, I had the Game Boy, and then now I have the Game Boy Advance and all that stuff, and of course the Nintendo Switch, which has been adding Game Boy games, which is pretty cool as well. But pretty cool, $45 to really get you back into handheld gaming in the 8-bit and 16-bit generation. Now, it didn't mention anything in here about being able to handle the actual cartridges. So, and there's no slots for the cartridge on this here. So this is primarily emulation using the game ROMs. So again, look, it's always best to, if you're able to back up ROMs of your own games, that's the right way to do it. But if you can't, that's what that's what happens in the world of retro gaming when you can't get your hands on these games anymore, because the studios and the companies themselves just don't put them out there for sale. I don't know why. People will buy them. The money's, it's like they're allergic to money or something. Yes, Star Wars obsession. Let's get retro. Good to see you, dude. Padawannabe says, honestly, that looks like a giant Game Watch to buy by today's standards. Yeah, the Game & Watches got pretty big too. But overall, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I've never heard of this one. Very, very cool. Let's head back to the main page here and see what else we got going on. in the world of retro here, guys. Let's see. Sega's spirit is alive and well in DDI Rally and Super Retro GP. Super Sega FPGA team understands why you think its console is vaporware. I don't know what vaporware is. Let's see. Let's see what else we got going on here. Ooh. I like historical books. I like history books. New book dives into the history of classic 80s arcade games. And the Kickstarter is live here. This is earlier this morning, again by the same author, Damian McFerrin. Arcade Decades. Let's see what we got going on here. The Kickstarter for Arcade Decades book is now live. Our exciting new book, written by Kim XXX Justice, covers in full detail the history of arcade gaming through the 1980s, featuring 100 key titles and original photography of these iconic arcade machines. And then they have a Kickstarter going on for this. Is this actually a video I can play? Okay. Defender. Oh. Oh man, guys. Oh, you're not seeing the video and audio? I see it. Oh, I see what I did wrong, guys. So yeah, there was no audio on the video. Ah, hold on a second, guys. That was actually a really interesting look into this. Let me adjust my share. Let's stop sharing that for a second. See, it's every time I come back to StreamYard, I forget how to do all this stuff, right? I got to present my audio as well. So let's pause our little chill music. Let's go into share screen. Let's see, window. To share audio, share a tab or screen instead. Okay, so I want to go in there and I want to do the history of that. Also share audio, right? Select tab to share. Boom, there we go. Let's bring that back up. All right, let me bring this back to the beginning here, guys, because that was actually, it's only polite to share. Let me go back to the beginning of this. How's that, guys? We got audio?
Introducing Arcade Decades.
Should now.
An exciting new book that covers in full detail the history of arcade gaming through the 1980s by looking at over 100 key titles from the period.
There we go. This is awesome.
We trace a path through this decade to the highs of the Golden Age, the lows of the North American video game crash, and beyond towards a resurgence.
You got the Turtles game there. They love showing
Arcade
Defender in
Decades
this.
Features entirely original photography of over 100 arcade games, with high-quality examples of some of the most iconic pieces of cabinet art
I just
and
played that at
design
the
in
Long
gaming
Island
history.
Retro Gaming Expo.
Each entry includes extensive details on how the games play, how the cabinets work, and the stories behind a game's creation and the reasons for their importance. Special features take you even further into the world of the 80s arcade with a look at the terms and slang that were used, as well as a look at the companies who created these experiences. Arcade Decades will take you inside the inner workings of the world's most famous cabinets, showing how arcade legends created the sort of games that you simply couldn't play or experience at home.
I love Afterburner.
Pledge to Arcade Decades today, and you can unlock these memories for yourself with a love letter to games that may have been from the 80s, but in truth are timeless.
Commando.
Arcade Decades. Back us now on Kickstarter and get your name in the book.
Wow. All right. I know I'm going to be looking into that Kickstarter. That's awesome. I love stuff like that. I actually just at the Long Island Retro Gaming Expo that I went to over this last weekend, I met briefly Pat Contry. Many people know him as Pat the NES Punk. I picked up his History of the Super Nintendo book. Massive book. Where did it's out of reach. Don't know where I put that at the moment. I was reading through it the other day, a whole bunch of it. It's so much great info about each game, like tons of game. Every Super Nintendo game you can think of, it's referenced in there with like an awesome description and a review and reflections on it. Great artwork and everything. It's very cool. I love things like this. So I'll definitely take a look and see what they got going on here in the Kickstarter. I won't do that on stream at the moment, but that's something to definitely look into, especially things about the old arcade games. You know, that's what I grew up playing, you know, going to the arcade with my father and my brother. And then sometimes there'll be like birthday parties and all kinds of stuff at the arcades. That was a big thing, guys. Birthday parties at arcades. And then you have big pizza party while you're there. And everybody showed up with a massive bag of quarters and you just go around and play as many games as you could. It was awesome. I used to play Popeye quite a bit. That 720 skate joystick was something else. Any rollerball game like Crystal Castles was great. This was high adrenaline gaming for sure. Absolutely. You know, it's funny, 720 skate, we actually just got the NES port of that not that long ago. My son plays that. He likes all the skating games. What a cool thing. I am very glad that we found this here. So again, the Arcade Decades book, I'm going to look into that on Kickstarter and see what they got going on there. It looks like it's really well on its way. So it really just comes down to getting the full support for it. And then it looks like that's in euros. So the starting price, early bird price would be 30 euros. I'm not sure what that comes out to in US dollars. And then there's signed copies for 45 euros. So I don't know the conversion to that, but that's awesome. That's very, very, very cool. New book dives into the history of classic 80s arcade games. That's fantastic. Love that. See, this is why I really like this site. They cover a lot of things here. So it's very cool to see what we got going on here. Let's see, a lot of racing stuff going on. Sega Spirit is like, we read that before. What do we got here? It would have been impossible to make this game at Nintendo. Star Fox and F-Zero artist Takaya Imamura talks Omega 6. I'm assuming that's the engine maybe they used for making those games. That's pretty cool. Let's see what else we got going on here. Sega Genesis is finally capable of Super Nintendo style transparency effects thanks to clever modders. This is the other type of stuff they like to cover, is things that the modding community is doing. So where Super Nintendo had a bunch of things that the Genesis, like, it's funny because, you know, you watch the commercials back in the day and everything was like the Sega does what Nintendo don't. But here's the thing. The Super Nintendo had a lot of crazy cool things in it, especially in like Super Mario World and F-Zero. And I guess this ability to have a transparent character or item or image on the screen, I guess the Genesis wasn't capable of doing that at the time. Now I'm trying to think back if there was anything I remember specifically that did that at all. I can't remember anything off the top of my head doing that. I knew the Super Nintendo did it, but I grew up with the Sega primarily, and I don't remember anything specifically using anything. Everything would like blink. There wasn't really transparent stuff. It was like if it was going to disappear, it would blink away and then eventually just vanish. So that's interesting that monitors are doing that. Let's see here. The FlippyBird connects 4 WaveBirds to your GameCube at once. Now, wait a minute. Why couldn't you do that before? Oh, with a single receiver. I was going to say, because the WaveBird, I have the WaveBird. I love the WaveBird GameCube controller. Let's take a look at this. The WaveBird GameCube controller is one of my all-time favorite wireless controller, but there is a little receiver you plug into the front controller port. They got the 4 ports on the front of the GameCube, and then on it there's a dial with a set of numbers. I believe it was 0 through 10. And all you had to do was just match the number on the receiver to the dial on the controller, and that's the one the WaveBird would talk to. But you could put 4 receivers in there. So this is talking about a single receiver. Let's see, should be cost competitive versus a single OEM receiver. Let's see what's going on here. So there's the WaveBird controller. Again, one of my favorite wireless controllers. And then obviously the GameCube had 4 ports on there, so you could put the 4 receivers in there. But let's see what's going on here. Crispy Vil, the developer behind the Flippy Drive ODE, has created another GameCube mod, a special receiver which connects 4 WaveBirds to your console without the need of the original receivers. In case you didn't know, the WaveBird wireless controller uses a special RF receiver which plugs into the GameCube's controller port. FlippyBird will remove the need to have 4 of these connected when playing with 4 WaveBirds. It installs internally with, installs internally with auto-wired controller pass-through. Can be used standalone via USB, solderless, config via controller so you never see it, explains Vil, and should be cost competitive versus a single OEM receiver. Oh, so this is a full-on hardware mod that you actually have to put inside the GameCube. He wrote on Twitter or on X, while I wait for launch, I designed a quad WaveBird receiver, the FlippyBird. Installs internally with auto-wired controller pass-through. Can be used standalone. Okay, that's what we read up there in the topic. So it's an add-on board that you put onto the board inside the GameCube. Now, that's something I have never done with any of my consoles. I have never done any internal modifications. Every mod I've ever put on any of my systems was an external mod. Going back to the PS1, I forget the name of it, but there was a port on the back of the PS1, at least the fat gray model that I had, that you had to take the cover off of, and it exposed a port that was unused for anything except for this mod device that I would plug into it. And when I did that, I was able to play imported games on my PS1. So interesting that we have an internal mod for the controllers. Connecting a controller appears to be pretty straightforward. Current scheme scans all channels at boot for an unusual key combo that will cause it to enter pairing mode, where it scans and stores the channel of each controller pressing a combo in sequence. There's a buzzer for audible feedback during the process. Good, so it makes mapping the controllers nice and easy. This is great news for anyone who owns a WaveBird or 2 that lacks the original receiver, or for people who don't like to look for the receivers when connected to the GameCube. Vil has stated that the Flippy Drive remains the priority at this point, but FlippyBird is much simpler, so we might see it sooner rather than later. That is cool. So anyone that's comfortable doing internal modifications to your consoles, this is something that's right up your alley right there. Padawannabe says Sonic, when he got hit with he went transparent for a minute, but it was more like blinking. Yeah, took the words. Yeah, that was the thing. Like they would blink so fast that they would look transparent, but it was blinking. But the Super Nintendo was able to make things actually transparent, like the ghosts, like the boos. They were transparent. I wish I would have continued my elections class. I would know how to do all this stuff. Electronics class. Yeah, I I don't do it much ever. Like it's a couple of times in my life I've done some soldering. It's very straightforward. I get it. I understand how to do it, but you need a very steady hand, and you have to know exactly what you're doing with that stuff, because otherwise you're going to end up just frying the board that you're working on, and nobody wants to do that. So that's some cool stuff, though. I'm glad to see people are still working with the GameCube. I love the GameCube. I have my GameCube set up right over here. I actually just it's right. It's sitting right here. The box for it, at least. Over at the let me switch over to my let me switch over to the bigger screen here for a second. How do I do that? There we go. Okay. So this past weekend I went to the Long Island Retro Gaming Expo over at the Cradle of Aviation Museum here on Long Island, and at the convention there was a company there. They were running a game tournament, which actually my son joined in on and played some Mario Kart Double Dash on the GameCube, and they had for sale their converters for the GameCube to bring it to HD TVs. And that's what they used on all the TVs in there. And it looked and performed great. The GCHD Mark II by Eon. And I picked up one of them because what I was doing here initially was I had moved my GameCube to another section here down in the cave. So the kids had that over there and could play their GameCube games, because they had the Wii U over there as well. And I put the Wii on my main setup here because it could play GameCube games. The problem was all of the converters that I was trying out I had trouble capturing from them. What would happen was I would get it to Streamlabs, it would go through my Elgato, and for whatever reason, it captured the Wii fine, but when you told it to play a GameCube game and it changed resolutions to 480i, everything flipped out. And it never liked it. It would just flicker, and I could never capture GameCube games. Well, I am happy to report that this adapter, the GCHD Mark II by Eon, works beautifully. I plug this right into the back of the GameCube. It has to be the model that has the digital AV port as well. So it's the device itself. There's no picture of it actually on here, but the device itself is designed to plug directly into both ports simultaneously on the back of the GameCube. So you get all your digital AV outputs coming from there. And it's literally plug and play. Plugged it in, put an HDMI cable into it, ran that to my system here, and then boom, I had GameCube in. Here's the thing, what it does. It does not upscale it to like 1080, 4K or anything like that. It cleans up the pure 480 signal. And I have to tell you guys, it looks better than any of the other converters. Like the converters I had before worked without capturing. I could run it directly to a monitor and everything was fine. But there was always something a little funky that happened in them, whether it was like a line that would happen or a little bit of flickering that would go on or some stuttering when certain scenes changed in the game. This kept everything stable, and I've been testing it and I've been messing around with it a whole bunch, playing a whole bunch of different GameCube games, because some games did 480i and other games would allow you to do 480p and put it into progressive scan. So I've been messing around with it to see what the best performance is with it, but I have to say I am incredibly happy with the GCHD Mark II from Eon. This thing is super cool. It was on the bit of the more expensive side. I will say that they were giving discounts at the convention. But after seeing it in action and then actually getting my hands on it to use it myself, I'm very happy with this. I did see that they made one for the original Xbox as well. And I am not fully happy with the converter I have on my Xbox. so I may pick that up as well. But with all that said, coming very soon to here at Matcave Gaming, we will be streaming directly from the GameCube. I'm really excited about that because the GameCube is one of my all-time favorite consoles ever. I will fully admit that the Nintendo consoles always seemed so solid and durable compared to the other consoles. I'm not surprised people hold on to these systems. My N64 works fine, and I bought it at debut. Yeah, these things were made to last. Things are built differently, man. Like back in the day, things just were built to last. So yeah, I have original N64 here. I got all the original hardware, and it works great. If you just take care of it and just keep it nice, don't spill a soda on it or beer or anything like that, and then you're pretty much good. You're pretty much good. Alan Copeland, what's up, dude? Good to see you, my friend. We changed things up tonight, buddy. We're on StreamYard tonight for a little while. But I sidetracked a little bit. I was talking about this converter that I picked up for the GameCube, and I'm really, really happy with that. All right, let's take a look at one more article. Let's see what else we got going on the site. How do I bring that back up? Here we go. Okay. We're back. Let me go back to the main page here. So that was the GameCube story that we were looking into. What do we got here? Beyond Shadowgate is a sequel to NES Classic based on a 34-year-old design. Chicago Museum to hold arcade exhibit on Mortal Kombat and NBA Jam developed by Midway. Let's take a look at this, everybody, for anybody that might be in that area. Let's see here. The exhibit will be open from October 26th, 2024 through February 16th of 2025. This is not just some expo. This is a massive museum exhibit dedicated to Midway developed games. That's okay. Let's take a look and see what they're talking about here. This article is by Jack Yarwood. And again, we are on timeextension.com if you guys want to check out this site and see their articles. Let's see here. The Cleve Carney Museum of Art in Chicago is set to hold an exhibit which starts later this year, telling the history of the arcade developer Midway. Insert coin inside Midway's Arcade Revolution will be open from October 26th through February 16th of 2025 and will cost $12 with discounts available for students, seniors, and military personnel. $12 and you can go to this. That's great. The exhibit will include 15 playable games that will communicate the story of the iconic company that was responsible for classic titles like Mortal Kombat and NBA Jam. It will also feature interviews with former Midway designers and behind-the-scenes videos, art, and other ephemera from the development. What is that word? Why can't I? My brain is not calculating what that word is. But anyways, completely dedicated to Midway here. So that's awesome. Chicago Game Space posted on X major fall exhibit, insert coin inside Midway's Arcade Revolution, organized by Josh Y. Suey and at Carney Cleve, at Yelnick, and at Game Research E. So I guess a bunch of people involved with it here. Well, the Carney Cleve Carney Museum is where it's being held. So that's really cool. Man, anybody in the Chicago area, if you guys are able to check this out for $12, that's fantastic. The exhibit is organized by documentary filmmaker and director of innovation at DePaul University, Joshua Sui. I hope I'm not butchering that name, who was behind the 2020 documentary Insert Coin. I watched that documentary. I think that was either on Peacock or Netflix. I watched that. Along with the owner and curator of Chicago Game Space, Jonathan Kinkley, the independent game researcher Ethan Johnson has also provided assistance for the exhibit. That is awesome. That is awesome. Oh, Black Dragon, dude, thank you so much for sharing that, guys. EBN had put out a shirt dedicated to our friend the LegendaryTron. In the beginning of tonight's stream, we did talk about our friend Nate, also known as the LegendaryTron, had passed away this past weekend, and an amazing friend to the community and a huge member of the Echo Base Network community. And they have a shirt dedicated to him. So Black Dragon shared the link there. Which is awesome. Thank you so much for doing that. I greatly appreciate it. Nerd Mafia, what's up, dude? Good to see you, man. And X-Wing is in the house. What's going on, dude? Man, we got all the cool kids showing up. What's up, man? Good to see you guys. Good to see you guys. Let's take a look and see what else is going on with this. If there's any more information, this is being held in Chicago. If you happen to be local or in the area at the time, more information is available from the Cleve Carney Museum website. Tickets are set to go on sale on August 21st. So that is in just a few days, guys. Being held in Chicago, $12 to get in. An exhibit dedicated to Midway, who have developed such iconic games like Mortal Kombat and NBA Jam. That is awesome. That is super cool. And it's running for a long time. I can't believe how long this is running. It starts on October 26th and runs through February 16th of next year, guys. So, man, if you are in the Chicago area, please go check this out and take some video and pictures and share it with the community because, man, this is awesome. I think Nerdporial is from the Chicago area. I gotta touch base with him. I'm gonna send a link to this to him. I think he's in the Chicago area. That's awesome. That's if he get, oh man. By the way, Nerdporial Lifeform, if you have not checked out his channel on YouTube, go check it out. Amazing gaming content. He does a bunch of retrospectives on video games, some of my favorite out here on the platform. So go check him out. This is something I think would be right up his alley, and that is fantastic. $12 to go in, and that thing is running for so long. That is awesome. That is super cool. I love it. Absolutely love it. Man, what a good find. What a good find. I love this site, guys. I absolutely love this site. Timeextension.com, guys. If you want to see literally what's new in retro gaming, go check out this website. It tons of great news, tons of great information. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. Let's take a look, see if there's one more thing we can look at. That was a short one, but man, quite possibly the best one. We talked about the PowKiddy tonight, the PowKiddy V10. Very interesting handheld system for emulation. Evercade EXPR release hit by another delay. So we got Evercade still putting out other systems, but it looks like they're hitting a delay here. This adorable new Super Mario fan game looks absolutely incredible. A fan-made Mario game. Listen, Nintendo, they're coming after a lot of emulation sites and fan-made games, and they've been hitting a little harder lately, especially this year. So I don't know if something like that could even potentially survive. So that's pretty crazy. I haven't been in the Chicago area since 1996. Hey, that's when Resident Evil came out. X-Wing says, dove heavily into my emulation library today and could not get the one Rogue Squadron game I've never played to work. Rebel Assault. Okay. Dude, I will hit you up on Discord. It basically, the trick is if you want to play Rogue Squadron, Rebel Assault, don't adjust anything. Don't upscale it. Don't add any additional features. Let it play in its native resolution as the start, and then kind of tweak from there. But don't try to upscale it. That for whatever reason, the ROM of that game absolutely hates to be upscaled. So, but I'll hit you up on Discord. We'll get that up and running for you. Yes, they have been annihilating people. They're really hitting hard because I think they have a lot of things coming down the pipeline, especially with their next console. Where, for now we're just calling it the Switch 2, but whatever it's going to be called, I believe they have a lot of things in the works for it, including GameCube emulation. Will be moving there, and then of course their cloud-based games will be functioning better on that new hardware. So they have a lot of things coming down the pipeline, and when things like that happen for major studios and major gaming companies, and there's things happening like fan games and stuff like that, those things tend to get shut down. Capcom did that with some Resident Evil fan-made games. As they were coming out, there was a Code Veronica fan game being made that was very far in development, and it got shut down. And which, look, horrible for the people working on it, because it's such a passion project, so they can't really get it out there, or at least not as easily as they were going to be able to. But that's actually a good sign for Resident Evil fans, because that means they're most likely working on something in the realm of Code Veronica. So that would be pretty cool. Just give me my Nintendo first-party remaster of Wind Waker and Twilight and leave everyone alone. Dude, I have those on the Wii U. I love the Wii U. It was such an underrated console. It left way too quickly, almost as quickly as the Dreamcast did. And the remasters of Wind Waker and Twilight Princess are on there, and they are phenomenal. I want them to port them to the Switch. I don't know why they haven't yet, but yeah, we need those on the Switch. But luckily, I do have them, and I can play them on the Wii U. So if you're that desperate, and you can get your hands on a Wii U for fairly cheap, they're out there. Yeah, why no port? Because Nintendo. Oh my goodness, I'm just looking for I don't know what I did with that. I had a thing for about the ports, but I don't know what I did with it. Oh, speaking of Zelda ports, hold on a second. This is something I dug out of my collection earlier the other day. Let me bring this out here. How do I get back to full screen? There we go. I love this on the Nintendo GameCube. This is kind of turned into a GameCube stream a little bit here. Lots of GameCube stuff we're talking about here tonight. Especially after I hooked up this adapter and absolutely love it. But one of the games I have in my collection of GameCube games, and I will never give this up, is the Legend of Zelda Collector's Edition promotional disc, which includes 4 classic games. This came out, I believe, around the time of potentially one of the releases of Twilight Princess. It was before Wind Waker, or just as Wind Waker was coming out, because on this disc for the Nintendo GameCube, you can play a 20-minute demo of Wind Waker, the original Legend of Zelda, Zelda 2 Link's Adventure, Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask. Oh, excuse me. And Majora's Mask, all on the Nintendo GameCube. And let me tell you guys, these ports are awesome, especially Ocarina of Time. The controls are fantastic on this thing, and it's all complete. I got the manual and everything. I love the design of the disc. And yeah, having the physical media of this is just great. But it's got I love the what is this? There was a special offer in here too. Yeah, you can get a special offer thing in here where it was you could sign up and you can get like codes and cheats and all kinds of stuff. So that was kind of cool back in the day. But inside the manual, nice, pretty thick manual, breaks down every game and all the controls for the GameCube controller on there, and some really nice artwork in here too, and explains like literally everything that you need to know about each of the games. And this is such a cool disc on the Nintendo GameCube, and they're becoming harder and harder to get at a reasonable price, because these were limited releases. So anyone with a GameCube and you got like a local mom and pop retro shop or anything, and you're looking around, see if they have this. and if it's a reasonable price, because 4 Zelda games plus a demo for Wind Waker, it's awesome. And I love using the GameCube controller. I love that controller. It's just so comfortable. But yeah, if you can get, we're gonna, you know what? Because we were just talking about that tonight. That I got this adapter where I can finally hook up my GameCube and capture from it. Yeah, we're gonna stream this. We're gonna go through and I'll show you guys what this disc is all about. I love this thing. The disc is in like damn near perfect condition. I try to baby this one. This is because I really can't replace it. Like it's just one of those ones that is just it's going to be difficult to replace if something happens to this. So a very cool, very, very cool addition to the GameCube library. Blazerhawk Darren, what's up, dude? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Let's see, we're just over an hour now. We were just kind of chatting about things, you know, in the world of retro gaming and that site. I wanted to show you guys that website that I've been checking out for a while now, timeextension.com. I highly recommend them. They're very cool. I got to look into what's involved with signing up with it. I haven't signed up for anything on it yet, but you can support them and you can sign up with an account with them. I don't know exactly what it gets you outside of like access to certain forums and stuff like that, chat forums and things like that. I don't know if there's anything additional, but they break things down with guides and reviews and news articles, and all dedicated primarily to the world of retro gaming. So when I think to myself, and it may sound like a silly question, what's new in retro gaming? Well, it turns out there's a lot. There's a lot that's new in retro gaming, and that's why it's so important that we keep retro gaming alive, because you all know, guys, you all know. But yeah, man, I just wanted to take a look at this here tonight, and I thought, hey, you know what? I missed the stream last night. Might as well go live and we'll do this. We'll do that together. It says, I do have a question. I feel like a failure for not knowing. Do you know what the difference was between the Master Quest edition of Ocarina of Time compared to the normal? Okay. Is that on here? No, Master Quest is not on here. Okay. Master Quest of Ocarina of Time is very similar to like playing the second quest on the original Legend of Zelda. Things are kind of rearranged and it's a much harder difficulty. The dungeons become more difficult specifically. And if you're looking for a big, like a really nice challenge as you go through Ocarina of Time, especially if you're very familiar with the game, that's where Master Quest really shines. When you know Ocarina of Time really well, playing Master Quest is so much fun. There was a Master Quest disc on the GameCube. It had both versions. I remember the cover. I don't have a copy of this. The cover was literally like a split screen. The top was the normal logo for Ocarina of Time, and the bottom half was Master Quest that had a darker look. It was kind of like in purple, like a purple font and a darker tone. So it was literally like a split line across the middle. Top was Ocarina, bottom was Master Quest. That was on the GameCube. I don't know if that was ever ported to anything else. Yeah, it had like blue and purple lettering. Yes, that's the one. And it did they put Master Quest on the Switch? Hold on a second, guys. Hold on a second. Oh, I almost just knocked my light over. Okay, hold on. I gotta look. Did they add Master Quest to the Nintendo 64 on the Nintendo Switch? Connect to the Wi-Fi, you dummy. Okay, there we go. All right. Let's we're gonna look real quick. We're gonna check the Nintendo Switch N64 library and see if they put Master Quest on here. Nothing new at the moment. Let's see. Bunch of Mario parties now. Oh, I just got so excited. I was like, oh, they didn't. No, they have Majora's Mask. Very similar font to it. Ocarina of Time. No Master Quest on there yet. Did they add anything to the Mature 7? Do you see that? Did you see this, guys? N64 Mature 17. They're adding like some scary games on there. I know they added Perfect Dark and Turok. I think it's kind of funny that Turok was one of the choices. Those were the only two, and I think they still are. They are. Perfect Dark and Turok are on there. But yeah, no it looks like no Master Quest on the Switch yet, but that could happen because that was an official Nintendo release. That wasn't some like fan-made game or anything like that. That was an official release from Nintendo. So it's very possible we could see Master Quest land on the Switch. Maybe not on the original, but maybe later on the Switch 2. I know there's been more and more news coming out about the Switch 2 lately, but a lot of it's been rumors that have been already proven wrong. They've been debunked. But yeah, if you have a GameCube, which I still like I said before, the GameCube is so awesome. It's one of my favorite systems. If you guys get your hands on a GameCube, it's one of the best. Yeah, it does suck. All right, brother. Good to see you, man. Yeah, we're gonna be wrapping up here shortly as well. Thank you so much for stopping by, dude. I greatly appreciate it. But yeah, I'll send you some little instructions. You know what I'll do? I'll grab a screenshot of my settings for Rebel Assault in the emulator, and you can match it. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much what I wanted to do tonight here. Just kind of hang out with you guys for a little while, talk some retro gaming news, and see what's going on. And we found some really cool stuff tonight. I think that was actually pretty exciting to see what they got going on. You know, a nice little emulation handheld. That GameCube adapter, the mod for the controllers, that's really cool. But I gotta say, I think that exhibit for Midway happening out in Chicago, that's pretty awesome. So I think anybody out in the Chicago area, if you're able to get out there and check out that exhibit, go for it. Take some footage, post it to your channel, share it with the community, whatever you want to do with that. So yeah, a lot of fun, guys. A lot of fun. But we're gonna wrap it up here tonight, guys. I just wanted to hang out for a little while, and I missed you guys. I hate missing a Thursday night stream or our former Wednesdays, and I hate missing the weekly stream. So tonight I had some energy back, and I was like, you know what? Let me hang out with the Matcave gaming community and see what we got going on in the world of gaming. I always have fun looking through all this fun stuff together. It's just makes me smile, man. And that was something I think a lot of us needed also, especially with, we had a major loss in the community. And, but, even though I didn't know him very well, I knew him enough to know that he would want us all smiling and having a good time and being together and just being happy in the life that we have, and as gamers enjoying the games we play. There's a lot of games that people don't enjoy, and there's a lot of garbage out there, to be honest. There's a lot of bad games that happen all too often, but it's something that I think we need more of just talking about the things we actually love and why we love them, why we enjoy it. There's plenty of hate to go around, don't get me wrong, and sometimes it's very entertaining. It can be very entertaining. So it's thanks for the screenshot. Yeah. No problem, man. Yeah, I was looking through that list through the YouTube music studio thing, and there was some good stuff in there. So I think it's I believe it's custom to like each user, so it's probably going to look a little different for you when you go into YouTube Studio. So, but that's where I've been grabbing my music from. So definitely some good stuff in there. But guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. I just want to figure out how I would actually go about doing that, because I have no outro here. on StreamYard. All my stuff is sitting on Streamlabs. Oh my goodness. That's kind of funny. Yeah. Well, I have my logo, but I know the volume is loud on that. We could go out on that, but prep yourself, everybody, because I believe this one gets loud. We're gonna do it anyway, though. So we have an outro. All right, everybody. I appreciate you coming by tonight. We found some cool stuff in the world of retro gaming. And as always, remember, keep retro gaming alive, because one day your games will be retro too. Whew. I hope this isn't too loud. All right, everybody, brace yourself. Turn your volume down a little bit. And I will see you guys real soon.